No,
Yes, everybody can hear me well?
no.
Yes. Yes, you're
Yes.
coming in.
Yes.
Again? Victoria,
Yeah, I can barely hear you, Andrew.
are you serious?
Yeah,
It's really, really light, Andrew.
you sound like you're 10 feet from the speaker.
This one. What about now? How do you hear me now?
Oh, beautiful.
Ah, so you weren't being difficult, Victoria.
It wasn't me. Nice try.
Okay. I love it. All right, guys. So this is going to take a little while. I'm going to do this in 3 phases. First of all, try to explain to you why you do this book of business. Secondly, how to use the book of business. And then third, we'll have Q&A and you can ask whatever, and there's no stupid question. Okay? Everybody get it? So first of all, the why. You could say raw. The reason why you need to do Bob is because you won't get Zillow leads unless you do. But that's very punitive. That's not the reason to do it. The reason to do it is because there's a purpose in it. So the purpose of Bob is to create a management structure for your business. Now, I will tell you this. If you're an occasional agent, nothing wrong with that, that you basically want to make enough money to do whatever it is you need to do with the money, you're probably going to resent Bob because your intent is not to have a business. Your intent is to have a side hustle. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're running a side hustle, obviously the tools that you use are considerably different to if you're running a business. So this is definitely a business tool. And I think what will end up is that the people who are occasional agents will end up not having Zillow leads and not participating in Bob because it takes time from the people who really want to build a business. We're not there yet. So right now, everybody can participate in it. I'm getting more and more strict. I ask once on my reveal, are you there? If you're not there, you're done for the time. Because honestly, I need to show myself more respect. You know, I'm one of the top real estate salespeople in America, and I've done this for 40 years. And if people are going to be late for me, then that's okay. But I'm not going to restart for you. I'm not going to repeat for you. I have to have self-respect in this. Otherwise, it's going to be a miserable journey for me. So the concept of Bob came in my sales career from Xerox Corporation at the beginning, where I went into an office where some of the best document processing people in the country were there. And I said to myself, oh, of course, typical Andrew, I want to be better than them. And so I learned. And what I learned very quickly was that Xerox would teach me sales systems that I could knock on doors better than anybody else and meet people. And soon I had so many clients, I didn't know what to do with them. Or should I say so many potential clients, I didn't know what to do with them. So I learned at 20 how to screen through those people and ascertain who was going to make me money and who wasn't. So I was, I've been married like 16 or 17 times, and this was the first one. And she had a baby. I think it was all a conspiracy personally. She had a baby, and I needed to provide the money because she decided she didn't want to work. She was a model, center spread model, gifted, but she found this dude who made money. So she decided she was going to stay at home with the baby. So that lasted, by the way, 24 years till we got divorced. So the point was, it was on me at 20 to now provide for the baby and for the ex-model and for myself. So if you're 20 years old, my parents weren't going to give me any money. They didn't come to the wedding. They didn't want me to marry her. Yeah. I was married twice. My parents didn't come to either wedding. So it was on me to provide for these people. So I had to find a system. Unlike many people who are on our team who maybe will find a system, or in real estate where if you don't find one, you go to another brokerage and another and another. But one problem with that is you're taking the same person with you every brokerage. That's the problem, right? And the issue is that that person evolves. Okay. So I had to make money. So I had to sort through these people. And part of it was just really practical, kids. I needed to pay the rent. I remember standing outside the store in Woodley, the real estate store, and I saw the house that we just rented for the sign had come down and it said the amount of money. I was so scared I cried. I had tears rolling down my face. I had no idea how I was going to get that money. I knew that Xerox had hired me. I knew I was highly intelligent. I didn't know how I was going to get the money. And I never let anybody down in my life, and I wasn't going to start here. And so I had to learn. I had 30 days to learn. So that's where this system came from. Now, does that mean it's an old guy system? No. The principles are exactly the same, which is you have to go out after potential clients. Then you have to filter those clients when they're going to become a reality. And then you have to be skilled enough to convert them into reality. So number one is find, number two is filter, and number three is convert. Find, filter, convert. That's what my whole sales career was about. So I could give you so many stories, which I won't. This is not the place. It's very difficult to succeed with me in this model we have here if you're occasional, because a lot of what I say is way deeper than you need it to be. I'm excited this year that there's people in this room and other people who are joining us in Rising Stars and so on, who are going to be the next generation of Lauren and Rachel and Patrick and Dominic and Doug and Blake. You're going to be the next generation. It's going to take me a year to get you there, but you're going to get there. You will not get there without this, period. Maybe I'll make one concession. If you find something this good and use it, you will get there. I just don't know where that is. Now, it's not just this tool, Bob, it's the fact that it's in relationship with Reveal that it's so powerful, because producers want to appear well to their colleagues. So if you take me onto, I'll give you an example. Let's say we go to a baseball field and they say, well, Andrew Warburton's here. We want him to throw the first pitch. Okay, I'd be a little embarrassed if it didn't reach the mound, but it's not that big a deal. I'm there occasionally. I bumbled into the ball game. I picked a lottery ticket. They picked my number. I wave to everybody in the crowd. I get the ball and, I throw it. I do my best. Is it important to me? Not really. I play a game of foosball. Do I win or lose? I don't care. I play a game of pool with Jonathan. All I care about is with Jonathan. I don't care. So when you talk about business discipline, when you talk about how you appear in front of your peers, unless you're a narcissist, it doesn't matter if it's not important to you. So when you say, I want to be one of the top salespeople in America for real estate, now you're setting yourself a bar. And so if your colleagues are going in the same direction and they make it and you don't, now you got a real challenge. It's either me, it's not them, it's not the leads. You got it? So the point of Bob is this. I had to find, filter, and convert. Bob is not an archive. I want you to clearly understand this. Bob is not an archive. Bob is a living, active management tool. I know that most of you watching this are not using Bob as a management tool. You know how I know? Because right now, when you look on the screen, you see all those little people. all those little circles, those profiles. Every time I go on Reveal and I go on Bob, I can see who's looking at the document, when they looked at it, and how long they looked at it. And so I understand that most people are dropping onto Bob once or twice a week. That's one of the primary reasons many of you are not moving past 5 or 6 or 10 transactions a year, because you're not using the primary management tool. Usually the people who are not using it also show up late, show up unprepared, and show up with excuses to Reveal. Is that because they're bad people? No, it's because they're like me playing foosball. I just don't care. It's okay to not care about it. What's not okay going to 2024 is not caring about it and taking time from the people who do care about it. So this year, I'm going to get you to 24, and I'm going to get you to 24, and I'm going to get you to 24, and I'm going to get you to 24. I'm going to get you to 24. And you, Justin, if that's what your choice is with me, I will get you to 24. But I'll get you to 24 by giving you the same business skills that I learned and that was paid for by Xerox Corporation. So each of these categories, 30, 60, 90, I would get in my car every day, cold, rainy, wet. I would get in my car, I would open my card file, and it was broken into sections of 30, 60, 90, exactly the same process. And I would go through a number of steps to make sure that I had money for the next month. And you have to understand something. Let me ask you this. What if, Monique, for example, you didn't sell 2 properties in January and you would have to live in your car February 1? Would you sell 2 cars, 2 houses? Yeah. That was exactly my position. And in England, if you don't pay your rent, you're out on your ear in 7 days. Not now, when I was a boy. So if you knew for damn sure, Diane, that if you did not put your 7 in escrow by December the 31st, and if you didn't, you would be evicted from your home on January the 1st, put 7 in escrow.
Yes.
Exactly. And what we've done, unfortunately, is we've taken the prize away. Now, our society is so keen to take away fear that it's very difficult to train salespeople today. Everybody's more interested in their life balance than they are in success. And I will tell you something. Most people who preach about life balance are actually life work balance, they call it, are actually talking about life, no work. What they want is a great life and no work. My life has never had a life-work balance. It has always had a work-life balance. Because I cannot accept my life if I'm not providing. It's that simple. I cannot accept my credibility as a man if I'm not providing. I can't do it. Now, I understand not everybody listening to this and not everybody on this call has that same ethos. But at least gather from me what I'm trying to share with you. This came from a life principle. Number 1, that I had to provide and I would not fail. And I was blessed by God with a clever mind, and I was going to work out how to make that dollar process happen, which was find, filter, and convert. FFC. So I took that box and put it into this philosophy. It started with sheets. We have a 19th century mirror in our living room, a huge one. And Lauren used to come over, and Catherine, my daughter, used to come over. And by the way, Catherine, my daughter, learned this system, and she's now one of the top agents in the Inland Empire because she follows the system. So we used to hang these pieces of paper all over our living room, and every time anybody came to our house, they would have to write on there what they had done that was different to last week. And you asked Lauren about it, how she felt. They were scared stiff. They came in sweaty. Why? Because they weren't playing foosball. They wanted to appear good to each other because they wanted to be serious. So I will say the first thing about Bob is you have to want to be serious. You have to want to be a manager. You have to want to have a business. That's very difficult. But if you want it, I can help you a lot. A lot. And I'll be flat out good with you. I'm not so good. And I'm not saying, Felicia, you don't want this. So Rachel, I don't know if she's on this call, if she doesn't want a business. Rachel, love her to death. She's like my daughter. She's got a handsome husband, lovely home, children. And probably if you really put her on a lie detector test, when she came into this, it was to get enough money so she could do some more stuff and take the kids to Disneyland more often. I'm not saying you can't do well with that. It's very hard for me to help you because I can't connect with that. But you get somebody like Rachel who comes to me and says, yes, I've got a husband. Yes, I've got kids. Yes, I want to go to Disneyland more and the money would be nice. What I want to learn is how to be really good at this. And I'm willing to pay the price. Game on. Sit right there. And I will talk to you on vacation and help you get there. So in Bob's connection with Reveal is what makes it so powerful. A, because you get coached. B, because you hear how other people are being coached, and the repetition infuses a process into you. So now let's have a look at, does everybody understand why I do this? We all got it. Yes? On the call, do you all get it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm being
Yes.
very personal with you. Now, there are aspects to this. One is the categorization of people. So that's our 30, 60, 90 section. Just like my card file. The second is what stage the individuals are in. Are they being pre-qualified? Are they being approved? Are they having offers written? Are they being shown across the top? Green is in escrow. Purple is showing. Yellow is offers out. What stage are they in? So first of all, let's look at our 30, 60, 90 box. Let's take the cards, but let's have the cards in different colors. And each of the sections in the box should show multicolors. The closer it gets to 30 days, the colors should be primarily what? Green and yellow. Now, in comes another life principle from Andrew. This comes from my relationship with my mother. I hope we're recording this. This came from my relationship with my mother. From about 12 on or so, my mom was not a particularly happy person. And when I came home from school, she would always spend time with her counselor, which was me. I wanted to take care of my mom. I didn't like it that she wasn't sad. I didn't like it that she was fearful. And so she would present something to me, and one of the primary discussions we had through the years was that God was angry with her. And that she would always say to me, I'm doing my best, Andrew. I hope it's enough. And then she would say a second thing to me, which was, I would say, this could happen and that could happen. She'd say, well, God willing. And what God willing meant was, I don't think God is willing and I'm still afraid. And so for many years, I'd have this discussion with my mom up until the time that she had dementia. Before, the day before my mom died, I had a dream. So I woke up the next morning and I called the home, and my dad would not allow calls to go through to her because he controlled her so much, to the point of death. And I said to the doctor, you will put me through to my mother. So he did. She had dementia at this point. And they put the phone in her room. And for 45 minutes, I said two things to her. Three. I said, I love you 150 times. I said, God loves you 150 times. And I said, angels are with you 150 times. And the next day she was dead. So I spent a large part of my young life trying to get my mom to think differently. And she never did. And I learned something of it, that there was a circle that my mom lived in. It was a trap. I would say, you're going to have a wonderful vacation. Or I would say, God's got a special place for you in heaven. She would say, I hope so. So then I would say, why do you say I hope so? Well, I'm not sure. And there's things that I've done in my life. And I said, well, do you believe that God forgives you? And she said, yes, I do. So if I say there's a place in heaven and you say you believe you're forgiven, does that not mean there's a strong chance there's a place for you in heaven? And she would answer, I understand what you're saying, but I don't want to presume on God. So it came down to a theological basis point. And then finally, we'd end up with this. She would say, I just don't know if it's God's will. And so we did this circle. I could never move my mom forward. I tried. And she ended up at exactly the same place every time. Many human beings are like that. Oh, I wish I could sell more. Well, I do too. How committed are you to it? Really committed. I just don't know that whatever, or the leads or whatever. So immediately in my mind, I'm thinking, what's the next step to move you forward? This is what I'm trying to teach you. What was the next step to move mom forward? And for you to go from find to filter to convert, you have to learn how to move people to the next step, or you just do this repetitive circle that never ends. Most human beings will fall back on self-pity, putting yourself down, blaming somebody else, or just giving up. Most human beings will use one of those four things as a reason not to advance to the next step. A really spooky one is mom's, which is that God doesn't want it to happen anyway, which is very, very spooky. But all human beings set up some criteria in their mind that gives themselves permission to stay still. We're in a sales business. Sales business is about facilitating people to make decisions. If you like, taking your mom from a painful place where she doesn't believe anything good for herself to a happy place where she experiences everything good for herself. When my mom died, she had one valuable ring. It was sapphire and diamond. And the man who controlled her all those years did not give it to her. I did. And when she left it, my brother's wife took it. But that ring gave mom so much joy. Every time she drank a cup of tea, she looked at it. So I've always, all my life, been extremely motivated to take people to the next step. When people don't want to take the next step, I feel like a failure. That's my circle. Pisses their net off, no end. But that's how it is. So back to your book of business. You're dividing your people that you have found and filtering them into 30, 60, 90. Now, your skill is to move them to the next stepping stone. Your skill is to get them out of the circle of renting, get them out of the circle of failure, and get them in to the circle of success. That's what you're doing. You're not selling them a house. I never forget the first house that we bought. I could paint all the rooms without asking the landlord's permission. It was so cool. I almost felt, I remember it was in Oceanside, like I had to call somebody and ask, was it okay to paint it? The fact that nobody could take it away from me today in California, it takes them. I saw a listing yesterday. I was looking at it as an investor to buy it. The foreclosure process had taken 14 years and 6 months. True story. So my point is, you're taking people out of a failure cycle. I'm not saying all renters are failures, but financially in America, more people fail who rent than who own. It's just a fact. And you're moving them in a new circle, which is a circle of equity and security and stability and family memories and all that stuff. So for them to get there, they have to take steps. And most of the time when you talk to people, it feels like you're talking to my mom, doesn't it? Oh, well, I don't have good enough credit. Oh, well, I'm going to do it next month. Oh, well, I'm not sure it's the right time. Well, it wasn't meant to be. I mean, how many of you have heard things like that, right? And so they're stuck in this circle. Your job is to give them the stepping stones. That's what Bob is all about. Bob is all about defining, first of all, the people that you found. So you take every person you found and you put them in here. And there's a cadence that I'll give to you in a minute. When you put them in here, your job, your responsibility is that each day as you look at Bob, each day as you look at Bob, each morning as you look at Bob, which is your book of business, you're looking at those people saying, how can I move you forward? And if you can't, take them out of Bob. And that will leave you white blank squares. Then what's the first F? Find more. Find, filter, convert. But if you leave them in there, it's find, fester, die. You know what festering is, right? You do not want find, fester, die. You want find, filter, convert. And what you're doing is you're moving people on stepping stones. In my old analogy, across the river to the other side. This side is renting, that side is owning. You're moving them across the river. So if you look at Lawrence here, which is probably the cleanest, Lauren and Rachel, the cleanest book of business. And I will say this to you as well. You can have somebody else run your book of business. It does not have the same effect as you running it yourself. Because the person running it says, okay, do this, do that, do this, do that. So you're a first responder to the results of running your book of business. Does that make sense? That's different to running your book of business yourself. A better strategy would be that you run the book of business and that you hire sub people on your team and they're first responders to you. That's where you should be going. So I have people all the time on this team say, I want to run a team. They can't organize their purse. You cannot have people follow you unless you're organized. You cannot have people follow you unless you produce. If I said to you, I've sold 10 homes in my career, and I'm going to tell you how good I was when I sold those 10 homes, how many of you would be here? Not one. So to run a team, you have to be able to lead a team. To lead a team, you have to be able to manage yourself, manage others. So I want you all to lead teams. If you're not later in your life leading a team, then guess who failed? I did. You have the skill to run a team. You're young, but you have it. It's there. You have it. Doesn't mean you have to leave here. That's the whole beauty of our structure, right? Felicia, you do too. You lead a family, for God's sake. You're brand new to us. You hear what I'm saying? To lead a team, you have to be able to manage yourself and produce yourself. And the team will copy your production. Now, when I say to you, find, the thing that's unique about our team is you can survive not finding. And particularly when the ISA program starts on December the 3rd, we're basically going to find everything for you and pass it to you as an appointment. The successful people on our team do both. They take appointments, they take the leads. They also learn how to take care of those customers. Because of the leads that we do get from Zillow and others, only about 6 or 7% of them will ever convert on the first, even less, on the first meeting. It's less than that, actually, when I think it's probably 1% or less. Most of what we sell are people we've been in touch with between 30 days and 6 months. Our average is somewhere around 100 days, 90 days, 85 days, that kind of thing. So what that means is you have to have the ability to constantly find those people and constantly dig back in. So how do you dig back in? Well, you've seen me train you on Zillow Premier app, but now we're talking about Bob. So this is about finding the potential for revenue and finding the people that you're going to change their life cycle in the next 90 days and the next 60 and the next 30. So once you place them in here, you'll look here, for example, on row 8, column G. You're going to put what the source of the lead is. So here it's a Spearhead Zillow Flex. That's important. Why? Because you're part of a team. And everybody has to be rewarded. You put the name of the person. Now, Lauren puts notes in here. You can actually add notes to Bob by adding a note on a sidebar. You can actually go to, let me see, insert note right here. And you can type a note in. Type a note in here. And when you've done that, at the top right-hand corner of the box is a little arrow. And you can hover over that arrow and you can see the note. This is a great way to manage your book of business. You got it? Now,
Andrew, a side note on that is
Yep.
that every month that we start a new one, those notes don't transfer. So
I
be
did not know.
aware. That's why I stopped doing it that way, but I'll go back to doing it that way. Just remember, for anybody who, once we transfer into December, go back into your November and grab those notes and bring them
Love
over
it.
yourself. Okay.
Very helpful. Thank you, Lauren. Now, I've just asked, so look, you've put in this client. You put in first of all, where the client came from. Then you put in the client's name. Please respect your client. Don't forget their name. It's so rude. Spell your client correctly and put them in here. So you put where they came from, the client's name. You can add a note. And then you have to make a decision. Every business person makes a decision. This is what's hard about the book of business. This is what's hard about being a business owner. You have to make decisions. Make a decision. Oh, that person doesn't qualify. Make a decision. What's the decision? See why they don't qualify and do a three-way call. Orange, pre-qualifying. You're going to turn the square to orange. So now they're sitting around in pre-qualifying, and three reveals in a row, I see it's still brown. Why? Because you didn't take a stepping stone. You're still with my mom going in that circle. You're just going round and round and round. You didn't make a decision. You didn't take a step. So you have to make a decision. Is this person going to qualify where I can sell them a home in the next 90 days? Yes or no? If the answer is no, they shouldn't be in this book of business. You move them back into Lofty and you add the hashtag 306090. I'm not going to train how to do that today, but you simply just go into Lofty, into their profile, left-hand sidebar, it has the hashtags, you click hashtag, you add a hashtag. That's it. You put them back in as hashtag 306090. But the point is you made a decision. I hear agents all the time saying, oh, they didn't want to see any more homes. Okay. That's like mom going, well, if God wills. Que sera, sera is basically what you're saying. It's the same sentence, just one has God in it, the other doesn't. Que sera, sera. You know what I used to say to my mom before she died? I used to say it to my father, and he would get angry because he controlled her for so many years. And Dad would say, well, God wills, son. I said, Dad, God's willing. Are you? Oh. And he would do exactly that motion. So don't que sera your life away. Don't buck it off on God. God's willing. Are you? So your role here as a business person is to find, and when you find, to make decisions, which is part of the filtering process. Well, they don't want to look at any more homes. Okay, what are you going to do? Do not get up. Do not just, and I watch people do this out here. They'll make it go, oh no, so they're not qualified. They'll put the phone down. Then they'll sit for a while and talk for a while. You need to immediately make a decision and immediately make the next call. Call, hang up, decision, next call. Right? So imagine you're owning a sandwich store and you've got an employee and you see 6 people come in and they say, hey, you have a salami sandwich on brown bread and can you toast it? And I want gorgonzola cheese. Oh, sorry, we don't have any gorgonzola cheese. Okay. And they walk out. Next one comes in. I want a fish sandwich. So I got bad breath and I want tons of onions and I want it on white bread and I want it untoasted. Oh, sorry, we don't have onions. Okay, thank you. You see that happen 9 times, right? What's wrong with this? Is the person behind the counter couldn't facilitate the person making another decision. We don't have those onions. There's a lot of other things we do have. What else do you like? So when you put somebody in your book of business, your job, if you want to be successful, is to make decisions. First decision, put where they came from and put their proper name in there. Second decision, what's it going to take? Are they 90 days, cash in hand, 60 days, or 30 days? Well, they told me they're out of town for 60 days and they want to look at homes, so they're in your 90-day book of business. But make a decision. Touch them. Make a decision. If they're pre-qual, they don't want to look at homes. Do that, for example. Oh, well, we don't want to look at homes right now. Make a decision. What's the decision going to be? It's either put them in 30, 60, 90 hashtag, or what could another decision be? Huh? Put them in nurture, which is the same as hashtag 30, 60, 90. Well, what's another decision you can move them forward? They don't want to look at homes right now. You know what? I just get a feeling those people really need a home and want a home. I think the wife's scared. The husband wants it. I'm going to put them in as a 1-week feedback, 1-week callback. I'm going to call them back in a week. And in the meanwhile, I'm going to set them up on a drip with blogs. I'm going to go to GoWP now, and I'm going to send them a blog drip once a week that's all about home ownership. You just made a decision. You quickly jump into Lofty. You set them up on a drip once a week with a blog. And now you've got connection with them. Now, what I want you to do next is to go into this client, and I just sent them a blog, and right next to this, my last touch with them was 11/28/23. Now, when I look at my book of business, I can see who I touched and when. Most of the people in Bob haven't been touched for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 7 weeks. You just know you're going to get in trouble if we look in here and there's nobody in your book of business, and we're going to go, we're not going to send them any more leads because they're not nurturing anybody. But that day it just doesn't help anybody. So you get up in the morning, you start your work day, you look at your book of business, you go into your book of business, you say, who's in my 90-day, who's in my 60-day, who's in my 30-day? When did I last touch them? And you're going to scroll through here. See, Lauren did one here, 11/27. 11/27, she texted with Tom, bam, fam, back again around Christmas. We'll virtual before then. That's a book of business. So source of lead, name of lead, date you last strategically touched that lead. That does not mean date that you called them and they didn't pick up. So it's find, filter, convert. Not find, fester, bury. So we have 4,000 leads in Zillow Premier right now buried. And primarily that's because we did not have the agent practices at the beginning to do the correct nurture at the beginning. So now we've got a backlog of 9,000, of which, frankly, about 8,000 of them should be in rejected or nurture. So I don't want to repeat that cycle over the next 6 months. So I started this on the premise. Why would I do this? I do this because I want to run a business. I do reveal, and I want to look good to my colleagues and show them how much I'm growing. So your client comes in, You put the client in a 90, 60, or 30-day column. You put in the date that you last touched them. And now what's your job? Your job is to move them from right to left, right to left. So if they're in brown here, pre-qualifying them, you don't want them there more than a week. You want to get them across to pre-approved. And if you say, well, Andrew, I can't get them pre-approved, my lender's so slow, change the lender. And if they work for JJ, call me. They should be pre-approved within that week. By the way, what are you doing while you're pre-approving them? You're showing them property. So if you're showing them, they're going to be in what color? They're going to be in purple. So over here, you should have purples of people that you're showing. Here, there should be yellows and purples. On your 90s, there's going to be browns for pre-qualifying. You're constantly moving people across, which means you're making a decision. How many of you on this call, and there's 29 of you, how many of you have said to yourself, I just don't know what to do with this client? Anybody?
Yes,
Yes?
yes.
All right. That's not helping you. It's not helping you. I want you to picture my sandwich store again. You know, I like Subway sandwiches. I'm sorry. But you go in and they've got all the cheeses, then all the meats and all this stuff, right? What do they do at the end of the day? Yeah, throw it away, give it away, clean it out. What if you went into Subway and they said, do you know what? We've got some great Swiss cheese. It's been right here in the case for a week. Right? It's ridiculous. But that's what we do, don't we? So we leave the cheese sitting in bar. And the idea is that's okay. Andy's going to give us more cheese. There's going to be more leads. One of those leads is going to convert on the spot. When I hit a winner, that's enough money for me to get by. You get it? So that's the difference between somebody running a business and looking for that lucky lead. Okay. What's it called when you count numbers in card games in Vegas? Counting cards. What a huge difference between somebody who just goes up, plays three hands, walks away, they're pissed they didn't make $40, they lost $40. But somebody who sits there and counts the cards. And strategically, they count their numbers, they know what's in the deck. What you're doing here is you're counting the cards. You got it?
Andrew, can I jump in real quick?
Please do.
I was looking at Bob this morning and I was thinking, is there a way, or what would you suggest for those clients? I know we go up to 90 days, but some of us, at least I do, maybe some of you do or don't, but I feel like some of us have that like small handful of clients that, you know, went through the pre-qualification, they only qualify for a certain amount, they want to wait, and I'm talking like 150,000. So obviously they want a little more. Their income doesn't qualify yet because they have to wait 6 months to, you know, for it to qualify. Like, could we add like a 90 plus section, or do we just keep them in the 90 day?
So it's a great question. You absolutely do not keep them in 90 day. And I want you to come back to my original thing, Angela. Right?
Or like
I knew,
you know, they're going through a divorce. So
I know. Hold on. Listen to my answer. So go back to the beginning. I knew I had to pay that rent in May, June, and July. So I knew my box had to have May, June, and July closings. If July was full of people who weren't going to earn me money till December, I would be evicted in August. That's why I started with that story. So, Ange, if they're not going to pay off in 90 days, you put them into Lofty in hashtag 306090, and you change their pipeline status to warm. It's that simple. Then every day when you do your outbound calls, you go first to Bob, to your 306090, and then you roll over to Lofty, you bring up your list, and you touch each one of them. And your goal is once a day, Angela, that you'll speak to one of those people and move them forward. Now, Angela, the minute that girl who's there as a wife who doesn't qualify or only qualifies for 150, but you love her and you want to get her a home, which is the example you just gave me, and you call her 8, 10, 12 times, and the 12th time, her deadbeat husband had a dream one night that he was burning in hell of deadbeats, and he got himself a job, And now they have his income and your income. Suddenly that call is effective, isn't it? What now? Guess what?
Yes.
He now became a real man. He's providing for her as well as she for him. And they're now going to buy a house. I know it's a radical story, but you only remember radical things. How many people go on TikTok and, go, I'm going to jump off a 1-foot wall. They got to jump off skyscrapers. So you watch their TikTok. That's why I'm a little controversial sometimes. You get my point, Ange. So 3069 is you got to pay the rent day 90. If they're not going to close, don't put them there.
Okay.
Move them to 306090 in Lofty. Put their pipeline status as warm, and every day run that list and call a few of those people. And after 30 days, if you do 2 a day, you've called 60 of them. If there's 15 in the list, you call each one of them 4 times a month. You convert 10% of them. That's 6. You'll be getting 6 more showings that month. That's great. That's how you do it. It's all systems. It's all numerics. When you guys get that successful sales is about numerics, you will get it. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So everybody on this call, I want you to get this. This is about numerics. People say, oh, it's about numbers, but they never do numbers. Why are people so stupid? They know it's about numbers, but they never do the numbers. Then they tell everybody they're doing the numbers, but they're not doing the numbers. I mean, who are we fooling here? Now, I can't change the world, so I've given up on that. Numbers. It's about the numbers. So when you come in here and you pick up the phone, you start making your calls, you hang up. I want to encourage you, make the next call within 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Make the next call. Hang up. 30 seconds. Maximum 1 minute. You literally just quickly type something into Lofty. Quickly make a decision next. And if it's going to take longer than a minute, make notes on a side pad. Finish your calls and then add your notes in from the side pad. Because you need to hit the numbers. What most people do is they'll make that call in a column in 90, then somebody will come up and talk to them, and then 20 minutes later, they make the next call. You're never going to do the numbers it takes to be a top agent. So I love that. So Felicia said, if you're going through Bob and you meet a client, the client suddenly turns around and they say, hey, they want you to do something right away that's really like close to them buying a home, right? In other words, change my search, or I want 4 bedrooms, I want 3 bedrooms. If I'm doing calls for an hour, I would say to that person, absolutely. It's right now 2:52. And right around 3:45, you're going to have that in your inbox. I'll also text you at 3:45 and let you know that it's there. Would you mind texting me back? Yes, done. Yes. You cannot run a car without gas. So if I run up and I go, I've got a little water bottle of gas, and you go, oh, goody, goody, goody. You pour the water bottle in your tank, whoosh, you take off out of the gas station. You barely get to the next gas station. That's the history of real estate. You put just enough in to get you to the next sale, whoosh, pay off your old credit cards, pay off your old bills, take a weekend trip, super trip to Ensenada, super cheap, come back. Oh my God, I'm in the gas station with no gas again. And that's the story of real estate. Do your numbers. You must do your numbers. So that's the finds. That's the F. Find is numero uno. Oh, I'm way too busy. I've got so many escrows. People always tell me that. I go into the MLS and see they've closed 6 last year. No. You've got so many play escrows. So again, the idea is this, look, to stay positive. Find. Do your calls. Do the numbers. Go to your Zillow Premier app. Find the people, put them in here. Make the calls, put them in here. Have a notepad by you. If it's going to take more than 30 to 60 seconds, don't take the note right then. But make sure you add them in at the end. Because I promise you, I swear to God, if you've got a lead that's saving 10 properties and you don't put a note in, and the ISA sees it, and there's no note from you, they're going to reassign that property. So the lead comes in, ZF, SH, you put the source of it, you put the date that you last touched it, you make a decision. 30, 60, 90 is about, first of all, deciding when they're going to buy and then making a decision how to move them to the next stage. Does everybody understand? Does everybody understand the colors?
Yes.
Next aspect of this, we now have this new aspect in column C that you put here, your calendar. Why? Because ISAs get 400, 500, 600, 700 calls a month. They're on the spot. They have to perform because they work for Andy and Kathy, that's even worse. And they have to make a decision right now. Who am I going to send this to? They're going to look in several areas, one of which is right here to see. So that, look, Lauren's is brilliant. It's in red right there. 9 a.m. team meeting, 8:30 home inspection. She's in Topanga on Saturday. I would say even better, you could put Topanga Saturday AM, and then the rest of it, you're available, unless you type in there, not available. This calendar is crucial. And here's the deal. I got to respect myself more. I think I'm fairly articulate. Would you agree that I'm fairly decent at speaking? So I think I'm making this really clear. We will not assign leads to you by ISAs if your calendar isn't. There it is. So please just do it. But don't do it because you won't get. Do it because you will get, which is if you're organizing your calendar, you're organizing your business. And a business has to be organized. Can you imagine? So here's the average real estate agent running a submarine sandwich. There's a sign on the door with the hours. Monday, not sure, doing work-life balance. Tuesday, I'll get there around 12. Wednesday, taking off early, picking up kids from school. Thursday. And then you come up and you want to buy that sandwich. Are you going to go back? Maybe once because you like the sandwich, but you go back. And that's how we've been taught real estate. That's why Zillow has taken over real estate. That's why 220 million people visit Zillow and 3 million people visit Keller Williams, because Zillow shows up. Do you get it? So managing that calendar is the difference between an occasional and a deliberate agent. This calendar says, this is what I'm doing. Now, if you're an occasional agent, you don't work Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays. Just put in not available, not available, not available, not available. All that we ask is the days that you do show, you put it in here and you do your work. Okay? So the calendar is the next segment. Now let's go across again. This section here is super important. So obviously your name is here. The areas that you're serving are there. Try and abbreviate it, please. Please don't write a speech there. Last time I checked, your name isn't Dr. King. Put in your name, put in the areas, and you see this term rock solid. Now, rock solid again, what's the second F? Tell me the second F. Filter. So rock solid means that you've learned how to filter. So let me tell you something. When I turned around to my first wife, Vicky, and said, I will pay the rent, guess what? I paid the rent. I was rock solid. When Annette came to me and said, I want a 3-carat white, that means D color, 3-carat white, princess cut engagement ring, I said, I will buy you a 3-carat white princess cut engagement ring. So I searched from Hawaii to Seoul to New York to find it. I found 2.98, 2.89, 3.01, 3.02. I could not find 3.0 D white princess. I finally found it in New York. In New York, she like, no, because 3 is her perfect number, and a little over 3 is no longer perfect. So I finally found 3-carat, right? I literally emptied my bank account. Done deal. So when I say rock solid, it's pretty damn solid. So ask yourself on this call, how solid are you? You will answer, that's very personal. Yep. You want to build a business, how solid are you? You go, well, not solid enough. Don't join my mom. Well, I'm trying. Well, if God wants me to be. Well, you know, when I take my right pills, I'm more solid than when I'm not. No, you're going around in the circle to nowhere. Make a decision. Look, I'm kind of solid, but I want to be a lot more solid. And the steps I'm taking is I'm going from brown to purple to blue to purple to yellow. And by this time next year, I'm going to be yellow, which means I'm going to be solid. You understand the analogy, right? You're taking your clients from find to conversion. You're taking yourself from soft to solid, if you like. So when you put in here rock solid, I understand a lot of people can't define rock solid. Well, I fully meant to be, brother. I truly did. And I believed and I prayed and it was the Lord's will that I be. And I was, and I. The more somebody says, the less solid they are. I will do it. And somebody looks at me and says, I will do it. They're going to do it. Do you understand? And the more somebody goes on about why they're going to do it, I'm like, okay, next. So go up to that bathroom mirror. And if solid is 10 and soft is 1, give yourself a number. Put it in your book of business. Put December 1, 2023, solid check equals 4. Don't put it in there unless you're going to take steps to change it because it's embarrassing. But if you intend to take steps to change it, put it in there. This is a coaching course. I could charge people all over the nation thousands of dollars to go through this, just this, because I haven't found it anywhere in America, nothing like this. So rock solid means you're rock solid. It means you've said it and you will do it. Well, Andrew, my leads this month. Well, I got a cold. No. You said you were solid. So when we go through reveal in group A, and Kathy's doing the same now, and it's unfair to Kathy because I keep adding new things from my memory and she has to catch up, which is extremely unfair to her, but she's very gracious. Say, how many are you solid for? When I go to Jessica and I say, will you close out all of these deals before midnight on the last day of the month? She looks at me and says, she always does this. She looks at me and says, yes. Now, if she looked at me and said, yes, I would think, okay, we're screwed. But she sits there, don't you? Every time she sits there and goes, yes. And every month she closes all the deals out. So this part is really important because it says, Diane, who you are. And it says to the team what your role is on the team. And it says to your family, can they count on? That's what rock solid is about. So that's this section of it. If you go over 2 columns to 8C. So I had Lauren down as a deliberate agent. I don't think there's a single person in this company that would say Lauren is anything but deliberate. Helps everybody, serves everybody, does all this stuff, right? But today, on her own, without me asking her, she says to me on reveal, by the way, I changed myself from deliberate to transitional. That's immediately somebody who I know is going to be successful. Because she's being real. And she said, I know I want to be deliberate. I know I'm doing what it takes. But the truth is, in the last 12 months, I've not closed 24 deals and I don't want to lie. That is completely admirable. Is she still on this call? Because I'm actually saying nice things about her and she needs to hear it.
Yes, I hear you. And so does Ryan.
So that is so admirable that she did that. That tells me that Lauren has a better chance of doing 24 deals next year than ever in her career. That is commendable. So in this section, you know what the qualifiers are, and you're going to hear something on Wednesday about the occasional agent, and you're going to hear about a contract change on Wednesday, and you're going to hear about an addendum change on Wednesday. And I'm not going to say it twice. And do you know what? On the Zoom, I say you don't admit anybody on Zoom on Wednesday after 10 minutes after the hour. Let's stop that. 10 minutes after the hour, we're done. Because I'm giving myself away, and it's disrespecting myself. I don't think I'm so horrible that you can just show up whenever you want. So 10 after 9, don't let anybody in. So that addendum is going to be resent out to you. I'm going to share that with you on Wednesday, and it's directly connected to this. Don't be terrified you're going to make less money. None of that. It's the exact reverse. We just want to know who's in, who's out, how much are you in. So we have the 3 categories: the occasional, the transitional, deliberate, and the occasional is 0 to 11. That's going to change, by the way, on Wednesday. The transitional is 12 to 23, and the deliberate is 24 plus. So Lauren says the number one qualifier for this is you cannot be a deliberate agent unless you close 24 deals in the last 12 months. Now, we're going to have a leeway of that if you close in a quarter 6, we'll move you over to deliberate agent. But if the next quarter you close 4, you're going to go back to transitional agent. The next quarter you close 8, you're going to move back up to deliberate agent. I just have to confess this to you. And I realize there's a possibility this company could not be as big as it could be because of me. I do not want to go the Oprah way. I do not want to give away awards for showing up at school. I just don't want to. I don't want to die with that on my back, because I know America will change again in the next 40 or 50 years. And what's going to happen, this very passive Gen X, Gen Z, it's going to backlash, because their kids are going to be even more passive. And then those X's and Z's are going to get your butt out of my house and go get a job. They're going to go, no, well, you cheated your boss all those years while I was growing up, and I want to do the same. And there's going to be a backlash, just like the 60s backlash with the hippie movement, the 80s backlash with the prosperity movement. Even the church backlashed against the 60s and did something called full gospel positive confession, that everybody who said I will be wealthy will become wealthy. That was a sociological backlash to the 60s. People don't realize that. So in the 60s, there was this backlash to male domination, to racism, blah, 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 blah. All that backlash in the 60s. In the 80s, there was a backlash, which was even God wants everybody to be rich. And so you had all these guys with big poofy haircuts like this, selling you their tapes. Only there were 8 tracks on how to be wealthy in 5 minutes, right? You remember it, Kathy. That was in the 80s. Then there was another backlash. So there's going to be a backlash. So I don't want to be a part of a pre-backlash. I believe it is pure to work. And I believe it is admirable to run a business. And I believe it is, sorry to say it, masculine or feminine to own, operate a business and lead other people. There's character in that. It's character. And I will not compromise that character for a life-work balance theory that's eventually going to be upturned 30 or 40 years from now. So this section, you put your name, you put where you're going to be in the next year, and here we define, are you a transitional agent or deliberate, depending, number one, on how many deals have you closed in the last 12 months. Next section. So we've done 30, 60, 90. We've done calendar. We've done the name of the agent. We've done the position of the agent. Now comes the next section. Right here. Lauren's got it again perfectly. 9B and 10B. And here it is. Your top 5 picks and your top 5 backups. Now, it's numbers again. Find, filter, convert. If you find 2 and you say you're a 2-a-month person, you will fail. You're not allowed to say that, Andrew. You don't know me. No, don't tell me what I'm not allowed to say in my own company. If you find 2 and you want to close 2 a month, you will fail. It's not possible. It's simply not. Nobody has that much luck. Oh, and let me say this. If you do, leave real estate, go to Vegas and start gambling. because you're the luckiest person on the planet. Because the numbers are that life happens. They may be great too, but the boyfriend walks out because he cheats. Or the wife walks out because she's depressed, or one of them starts doing drugs, or they get in a car accident, or their company shuts down, or God knows what happens. This stuff happens. They just get depressed. They get bored. They get lazy. They don't want to. Lord knows what happens. So you have to work the numbers. I will tell you, I personally believe, and when I say belief, that's not because I read it in a book. I believe out of my life experience. That you want to consistently close 2 people a month. Right now in this market, over $400,000. You want to consistently do that. You must have a minimum of 10 in your top 5 picks and your top 5 backups. Where do those 10 come from? They come, 5 in each. You must have 10. It's a 5 times. Okay. That will give you 2. It will, love. Trust me, it will. And we're going to this ISA thing now where you can go out multiple times a day showing people property. Okay, 1 or 2 of them won't show up. Many of them will. You drop them in here. You make this an active document, not a passive archive. You drive it every day from here. You make decisions every day. You will. If you've got 10, you will sell 2 of them. Now, if you put 10 in here and I go back into your log, which I can do, and see how often you come in here, and I notice you don't go in Mondays, you don't go in Wednesdays, you don't go in Fridays, you go in a panic session on Monday mornings at 5 o'clock, then you had the 10 in here, but you weren't working them. It's like that 1-week-old Gorgonzola cheese in the sandwich store. Nobody's going to buy it. So 5 top picks. These are the people that you know are qualified. I wouldn't put anybody in top picks who's not qualified. Right? You want 5 top picks. All of your top picks should be qualified. Your 5 backups, at least in pre-qualification, minimum. If you have 5 qualified people that you're showing. Now, some of the agents, I'll say to them, well, tell me about your 5 picks. Oh, well, Bob is one of my 5 picks. I've called him several times the last few weeks, and he hasn't replied to my call, but he's going to buy a house. That's not a top 5 pick. This is 5 people you're talking to, who are in a relationship with you, who are trusting you, who are qualified. I want you to remember again, my notepad. What do you kids call those in America? Those little books you have in grade school? Composition books, that's it. 24 lines on a composition book. So what I would do, can I just tell you a quick story on this? So in my composition book, you know me, I'm like always doing something. Lainey will tell you, I come in every day with some new idea. And so I'd write it down in the book. I'd be driving along, don't drive and write. I'd be driving along and I'd write down in my book, and I'd write down, and I'd meet somebody else, and the barista, and I'd meet them. So somebody would refer me somebody, and I'd write them down, right? And then I would circle them when they were being pre-qualified. So they have a yellow circle around them, right? And then when I knew they were qualified, I'd have a green check mark right next to them, right? And then something would happen. Oh, damn it, their pastor is a real estate agent. They've got to go through their pastor or they're not going to go to heaven. Cross them out. Go to the next one. And this is exactly how I ran my business. Every 2 weeks, I would go back through the pages and I would take the survivors and I'd put the survivors on a brand new clean page, 24 lines. And next to those 24 lines, it would say B for buyer, S for seller. And next to the B, there will be a little date next to it when I expected them to sell by. And that's how I ran that book. I used Top Producer at that time this was so present. Ask Annette. When I took her out on our first dinner, I had my composition book with me.
After you door knocked.
Oh, door knocked. That's right,
Yeah.
exactly right. Door knocked, composition book. How could you not have a composition book with you? I was responsible. I was a provider. I had to pay for the meal. So I'm searching my house because I threw a lot of them away. I believe I have one in a box that's hidden in the storage unit, but I'm going to find one and show it to you. It's really a learning curve. Now, why did I get into that? I forget what I was talking about. Yes, top 5. So that's what I did.
And with
Yes.
the top 5, I just did what you told us to do this morning. Don't put your people that you have in escrow in your
Boom.
top 5. So I just removed 2. And so now I only have 3. So now I need to get at least 2 to 4 more to
All right,
replace.
now watch. You see how she's managing her business? This isn't about keep Andrew happy. First of all, she knows she'll never make me happy. So that's a waste of time. And second, she wants to make money because, Lauren likes Louis Vuitton purses and Audis and Mercedes Benzes and so on. So she's using this to drive her business. That's a driver. What you just heard was a business person, not a real estate survivor. So it's excellent what she just said. She had 5 in there this morning. Since this morning, she corrected this. She didn't wait until next Monday to correct it. She's managing her business through it. And you think about it, Felicia, that's kind of brutal because you have 5 in there and you put 2 of them in escrow. It's like you want to leave the 5 in there for a while because it feels really good. But you really don't want to make yourself feel good. That's that old Gen X, Gen Y thinking. You want to make yourself feel responsible. You don't want to make yourself feel bad. You want to make yourself feel responsible. You want to be real. So this is actually, let's talk about my marriage, this current one, number 16. You talk about being real. My philosophy in everything is be real. So Annette will say, do you like that dress? I'll say, absolutely not. It makes you look like you're 90. Why? Why would I say that? Because when she wears a dress that she looks gorgeous and I say, you look gorgeous, she knows it's the truth. But if for 20 years I tell her she looks great and everything, she never knows how she looks good. Has anybody ever seen Annette not looking good? Might not be your taste, but it's your problem. You understand my point. So this is the thing we argue about. Kathy knows this more than anything else. So we get into discussion about something, and I'll just say, I'll often say I'm just a failure. I have failed in this, and this, and I am a failure. And don't talk to me right now. I need to work out what to do next. But look at where you are compared to last year. Look at this. And there's so much potential. And we're just stepping it. And I'm like, no, here's the facts. The numbers are this and this. So that means I have not succeeded. Thank you for your input. And that's exactly how we talk every single day of our lives. So it's 2 different ways of looking at life. I will tell you, if you're running a Salvation Army, the way she looks at life is going to work really, really well. But if you're running a hard sales-driven business, you better run by the numbers. And if your numbers are up, you've succeeded. If your numbers are down, you failed, period. Now, because you've got somebody like me at the helm, if you do fail, guess what? I'll teach you how to succeed next. So don't be like my mom, who now goes in a circle. I failed. See, I was never meant to do this. Maybe I was supposed to do something else. Bring God into it, why don't you? Maybe God wants me to do something else. Let's get even further away from personal responsibility. Oh, well, I guess it just didn't work out. Well, God bless you. I love you anyway. I mean, that's just what's called the BS circle right there. It's horrible. Take responsibility at the beginning. My numbers are down. I failed. I need to go to 4 training classes. And by this time next month, my volume will be up. And I will say I'm a success. That's a healthy life cycle. Create a healthy life cycle. And I'm telling you, our culture is going to go back to that. I know it's not there now. What I'm saying is even Zillow would disagree. It's okay. It's okay. We're going to change this life cycle. And usually, by the way, when you study sociology, usually it's somewhere between 3 and 4 generations before you have a major societal shift in the main things that affect our society, which is how money is earned, what religion is followed, what political party is in power, and so on, and what people expect from those sources, right? Okay, back to Bob. A lot of people say, why do you give so many stories? Because everything that I do comes out of my life story somewhere. So I tell you this just to make it real. Otherwise, it just sound like some sales trainer who's going to collect $4.95. If you buy it today, it's $2.95. So you start out, you put the name in 30, 60, or 90. You define them, what the source is. You put in their name. Please get the names of your clients down, right? Then you make a decision. Are they 30, 60, or 90, and why? Then you make the next decision. How do I get them to the next step? I get them pre-qualified. How do I get them to the next step? I put a note in there. When I look at my book every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I call that lender. I find out from the lender. The lender hasn't done anything. I call another lender. I three-way them. I've made a decision, and I move them to pre-approved. When they're pre-approved, I move them to showing. I did the showing. What's the decision you make when you make a showing? Write an offer or BAM-FAM. If it's in here under showing, Todd said this to me today. He said, you got 1,762 people in showing. Why doesn't somebody make a decision and either put them in met with or put them in nurture? Are they showing them or are they not showing them? Then it's in showing, love. If you're showing, they're in showing. But if you don't have a BAM-FAM, you're not showing. You're dreaming about showing. I tell you what, we'll make a column, dreamer. Put all of our clients right there. Top 5 picks, top 5 backups. Your 5 picks are pre-approved or they're cash and they're talking to you. Your 5 backups are in pre-qual. You might have a backup. By the way, there's a tab at the bottom here that says criteria for 30, 60, 90 client. You should read it. It's right there. Lots of helpful information. I will tell you something. I never put an investor in top 5 picks or backups, ever. I always see, and I've sold more property to investors than anybody in all of Keller Williams down the street, in all of this company right here, in all of Remax when I was with them. I've sold so many, 312 in 1 year to an investor. 1 year. So don't tell me I don't know about investors. I know about investors. I laugh when people tell me, well, this is LA. It's different in LA. No, it's not. You know how many hundreds of homes I sold in LA and in Sacramento? It's the same thing. Is the money in it? Yes or no? Do you have enough credibility for the investor to trust you? Yes or no? Can you arrange the financing? Yes or no? I don't care if it's in Abu Dhabi. I really don't. So don't put investors in there because they're quirky. They may like it, may not. I would definitely put investors in a 30 column if you are regularly communicating to them, sending them property, and they're looking at property with you, right? So be discerning. But your top 5 and your top 5 backups, no investors. So, Lauren, did I miss something?
No. Other than if you wanted to go over the fact that they should have their why there and then your coaching tips.
So let me tell you that I just love it when people put their why in right here. Because, you know, if you don't have a why, I don't know how to reach you. I don't know how to touch your heart. In fact, you don't know how to reach yourself. You know how to touch your own heart. That's why you're such a mess. So it's a joke. Relax. So put in what your why is and make it real. Make it meaningful. Why the hell are you doing this? Right? It's not easy. By the way, if you think there's another, you know, easy on the other side, the only thing that's easy is like to be one of these TikTok crazy people and you just do crazy, goofy stuff. By the way, 1 in somewhere around 5 million of them make it. So if you like those odds, have at it. Right? The rest of them pretend that they're making it. Right? There used to be a lot of things that were pretty easy when I was a kid. It's not. It's a lot harder to make money. Well, I'm going to design my own app. Well, good luck with that one, you know, or, you know, I'm going to build another Zillow. Good luck. You get my point. It's not easy. But one thing is sure that if you invest properly and treat this as a business, this is a business that can benefit you the rest of your life. Now, when you get to 2, Lauren, what's the first thing that I'm going to say to you on December the 30th and the year that you make it?
Come up with a new why.
When you do your 2 a month and it's 24 in December 2023, what's the first 2024? What's the first thing I'm going to say to you?
Do more.
First of all, you're a deliberate agent. What's the next thing I'm going to say to you?
Do more.
Yeah,
What's my
exactly.
goal for the next?
Do 3 a month.
Immediately, that's it. Who was that male voice? Who was that male voice?
Dawn.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, Lauren, you can do 3. Now, the next question is, do you want to do 3? And that comes back to that whole life work balance and blah, 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 and however Oprah has affected you. But I know for sure, Lauren, when you do 2 a month, I'm going to say to you, do you want to do 3? And I will tell you things I've not told you. There's stuff in this head you haven't heard yet, Lauren. And I will tell you stuff that I have not told you, and I will show you how to do 3. And then when you do 36, I'll tell you how to do 4. And by then, you probably won't need me. You got it?
Yes. But I'll always need you, Andrew.
That's precious. Love that. So it truly, truly is about those numbers. The inception of this entire thing is, if I look at your book and week after week, there's 3 names, there's 4 names, and there's no progress, you have a business management problem. It's not that you don't get this or you don't get that. It's you. If I look at your book of business and the people aren't moving forward, it's you. And if there aren't names in there, it means people don't accept the way you present yourself. And we need to look at that. You need to come and have a coaching with Kathy and say, look, I've done the same thing everybody else has done. They've got 26 people in their book. They've got 2, and I've been doing this 6 months. Your next question should be this: what's wrong with me? It's that simple. Sometimes people don't know what's smelly. I have a beautiful son. Love him, love him, love him, love him. And he'll kill me for saying this. Teenage boy. His body chemistry is exactly the same as mine. I mean, we are like carbon copies. It's crazy. So last couple of times he's done sport, I've noticed a slight fragrance when he gets into the car. So he took some of Dad's Mitchum antiperspirant from under the sink. And Mitchum, I don't know if you know, is a very strong antiperspirant for people who do athletics. So when I did bodybuilding, I would always wear Mitchum because nothing worse than lifting weights next to a guy who stinks. So I use Mitchum. So we took that Mitchum. Mitchum has 2 types of Mitchum. They have a regular Mitchum for ordinary human beings and a red stripe Mitchum for just nasty human beings. So I need the red Mitchum. But he took the white Mitchum, and I got in the car. His body chemistry is so similar to mine. I went, because I thought it was me, but it was him. So I mentioned it to him, and he got very upset. And then, I just loved it. We played like 9 games of ping pong. He beat me, and 6 games of pool, and he beat me. And, we talked about business and investing and all of that. I said, hey, son, try this, kind of like a commercial. And I slid it across the table with the red thing, problem solved. But he was so used to it, he couldn't smell it. So sometimes in sales, I've done this, again, 40 years. You'll see people, I made the calls, I made them, I made the calls, I made the calls, I made the calls. Something smelly. Try and find out what it is. It could be the script. It could be your delivery. Sometimes I come across too strong when I make a call. Sometimes I'm down on myself for the day, so they hear the defeatism. You hear me? Sometimes they hear excuses. Sometimes they hear reasons. People follow people with reasons. They avoid people with excuses. Sometimes they hear confidence. Confidence comes from competence. So if I've been trained and I'm all built up, I feel competent. That competent comes out in confidence. Other times I messed up the last 3 deals. I feel down on myself. I don't feel confident. Therefore, I don't feel competent. Therefore, I don't sound confident until I mess up that call. The smell usually comes from within, right? You go, well, that doesn't apply to me. Okay, don't wash for a week and then we'll talk about it. Most people never wash their real estate career. This kind of directness like this, most people don't go this granular and go this deep. So I want to make it really clear. The numbers are key. If I look in here, you look in here, and you don't see the numbers, it means either you're occasional, you're not working, that's your choice. But if you're deliberate and the numbers aren't in here, there's something, you're wearing the wrong antiperspirant. There's something in here that's smelly. It could be you lack confidence. It could be you don't take people to the next stepping stone. It could be you don't move them forward. It's something. Identify what it is. We'll help you do that, and then you'll see your book change. It's just the way it works. None of that is personal. Even smelling, it's not personal. It's just chemistry. It's chemistry. It's not your fault you had that chemistry. So Lauren's point was, put in your why And then I often put in coaching tips. As you produce more, and as you produce sincerity more, I should say, you'll get more and more coaching tips from me, because I know you'll listen to them. It's an old verse in the Bible, why cast your pearls before swine? And what that meant was, why Jesus said to people, why would I tell you all this deep stuff about my Father when I know you're not listening? So it's the whole idea of, why would you take something that's really intelligent and meaningful and resourceful and give it to somebody who shows up 15 minutes late on Zoom? They obviously don't value it, so why would I do it? So the more you engage, the more I'd be happy to share with you. And I'll tell you something, you get all pissy with me when I say something, I probably won't say anything to you for a month, because I know you don't have the character to take it. So why would I throw the pearls that way? Right? Okay. Lauren, good. Did I cover everything? Oh, one thing I didn't cover is over here on the far right-hand side, columns J, K, L, and M. Each month. So let's say here, Lauren says, okay, I am rock solid for November 2 to 3. When this is new here, so new, this is new escrows. When a new escrow goes in, you put it in the week that you put it in. Because you want to see, if you're down for 3 that month, you want 1 in week 1, and then maybe 1 in week 3 and 1 in week 4, or 2 in week. See there, she's putting hers in right now. So I can't believe I actually caught you out, Lauren. So she actually produced 3 this month. But then as I scroll through, I can see who's doing what, right? When did they open their escrow? This is Dominic's. Dominic's is exceptional. Here's the escrows that he opened. Look at Dominic's right here. He's transitional. How many of you will go up to Dominic and go, hey, you heard about Andrew's new deliberate agent thing? You're not one. How many of you would think that? Not one person in this room. Is Dominic on this call? I think he's showing right now. Okay, but here's my point about Dominic. In my mind, he is 100% of his character is deliberate. But he is making changes in his management techniques. He's making changes in moving it into a business structure. And as he does that, there's one reason he put that, same as Lauren. He's like, I'm not going to let you put that I'm a deliberate agent because I didn't close 24 deals in the last 12 months. Now, he will by February, and it'll change. But the purity, it's the same as me. Honey, do you like this dress? No, it sucks. Honey, do you like this dress? Yeah, it's kind of baggy. Honey, this is how it is in our household. Honey, do you like this dress? Yeah, you've looked better. Honey, do you like this dress? No. Tell you what, can I buy you 4 dresses tomorrow? Would you like that? Or would you like, oh, yes, dear. Oh, yes, dear. Oh, you look lovely, dear. Try that for 30 years. Oh, so you call me dear one more time, I'll cut your tongue out. When you see a husband and wife pat each other on the back, means there's no more hanky-panky. Means all that fun's, yeah, because that's what you do to friends. Come here, Jenny. Come up here for a second. Don't be afraid of me. So Jenny comes up, and I go, here we go. Well done, Jenny. Was there anything intimate or personal about that? Exactly. But I go up to Jenny and I hug her and go, God, you did a great job today. Sorry, human resources might be bad at the hug. Should have said, hug me. It's good. We did great, right? You get what I'm saying. So be real in your relationships. Be real in your Bob. So Annette and I are real with each other. Be real with each other. Otherwise, nobody knows when you're being sincere. So Bob is about that sincerity. A couple more tips and I'll wrap it up. I know this went, actually, it's fine. Why would I apologize for myself? Let's talk about the balance piece with working. If you work hard, when you rest, you relax. Yeah, catch that. If you work hard, when you rest, you relax. A lot of people will drink a lot when they have time off, or there's nothing wrong with drinking. Don't misinterpret this, or smoke joints or whatever, because they don't feel good inside. So they need something to make themselves feel better. When you achieve in life, you feel good. It's the way the human being is designed. So if you work well and you work hard and you focus, when you rest, you'll rest because you know your work is done. Or at least the work that you were responsible for. Does everybody understand this? So it's one of my pointers here. When you're working, do it well and focus. When you relax, you do so with a clear conscience and a clear mind, knowing that you've done your job well. A couple of the tips I wanted to give here. I talked about disciplining yourself to make decisions for each client. You understand that? Discipline yourself to move from one call to the next. That's it. Questions? Anybody got any questions for me?
Andy, just a comment.
Go right ahead, please.
Love it. Just wanted to say that this was very, very worth the time, and I hope
Thank
that
you.
everybody that's on this Zoom call appreciates it. I really thought it was really well presented and effective. That's my only comment.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
I have a
Appreciate
question.
that. Please.
Can you clarify or again how to touch 90-day leads? Because I know there's 10 properties and blogs. What else can we do?
So number one always is to call them or text. And I would say this, however they like to be best contacted. Some people prefer to be texted, so text them. Secondly, when you do have people who repeatedly are not ready, you want to send them information without saying, here's another property. So that's where you would send a text or an email, blog, and put something personal in there. Hey, I just read this piece about the future of real estate in America. I thought it was super cool. What do you think? Or, hey, I went to the beach today and I love homes by the beach. And here's a link to Encinitas. Have you ever been to Encinitas? Hey, I know you work in LA and oh my gosh, I drove the freeway to LA yesterday and I took this picture. It was jam-packed. I know one day you want to get out of this traffic. Let me know when you're ready. What you're doing is you're creating a personal message to people. Those personal messages show them that you're thinking about them, not just the sale. And the mediums to do that are, text, video text, very powerful, email, but it's the content that shows your sincerity. And people will respond to you if you're sincere.
Got it.
Any other questions? Right here, Mackenzie in the room.
I have a question.
1 second, love. Mackenzie's just asking one, then I'll get back to you, Liz. Go ahead.
Different shade for the colors, like a lighter color yellow or a lighter, like less like bright red color?
No.
It just hurts my eyes.
Oh, bless your heart. So, look, if it's a medical thing, yes, but if not, I don't want a multiplicity of colors on here because it's more difficult to define it. Yeah, it's distracting. But if there's one of those colors that really hurts your eyes and it's medical reason for it, I understand it. But I prefer you not, please. Any other questions?
Yes, me.
Yes, this is Liz, right?
Yes, Andy, it's me.
Go ahead, Liz. Go ahead.
How can I avoid my lead to be a spearhead? If I'm talking to them, we don't have an appointment yet. We're talking and sending homes, they get hot and they get spearhead. What can I do? What can I put in the note?
So you just want to be completely sincere in the note. You're going to date the note and you're going to say in the note exactly what the status is. I am talking regularly to this customer. We have a great relationship. They're not ready to buy because of X, Y, Z. That's extremely unlikely that that's going to get spearheaded. And if it does, come back to Jenny and we'll reverse the decision.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Wow. Yes. Felicia, general question. Mm, mm, mm. So Felicia's question was, basically, how do you get the client to believe you when you first meet them that you're going to get it done? You're going to get, why would they do it? So it's interesting. This is an interesting question, actually, because we've been talking a lot. We used to have this brochure that told you all about Andrew Warburton. When you first started, this was like 5 years ago. Have you seen it, that trifold brochure? It's really nice. Yeah. And I don't think we even have any anymore. From, this is not an old one, but that's the books. It's on my desk, but we had a trifold. Here's my point: that when Catherine, for example, came back from Denver and they're living in like some drug infested neighborhood, and they came back, she said, "I can't sell." I said, "Yes, you can." Trained her how to sell. And she would hand over this brochure, and it talked about 23 years it was then of experience, and we're a team and we'll back you up, and da 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 da. And you handed over that piece, it was like, oh, I used to leave that piece in houses when I showed houses, and real estate listing agents would call me upset. They would say, my client saw it and got mad at me that I didn't have anything like that. You should not leave that. You should only leave a business card. It was that convincing. So we're right now, I've been meaning to talk to you about this, Lainey, because we had a long conversation about it this weekend. We're going to come up with another piece like that on the team that says what we do and who we are, who our management team, and file review, and you're not on your own, and legal support, and all of that stuff. Yeah. We're going to put that together in a team flyer. So when you go in, you go, look, this is what I'm part of. And I'm going to get you home, and I'm going to do everything in my power. But I want you to know there's like an army of people behind me right here. It's like walking into a hospital and knowing there isn't just one doctor. So that's a big part that we should use a lot more on our team. You guys really need to talk about what you're part of. And then the second part to Felicia's question is that credibility when you show up, right? For sure. Credibility isn't always experience. Sincerity is a big word in life. When people sense your sincerity, they might say, look, I know you're pretty new, but I know you won't do me down. I want to work with you. That can be as powerful as saying, I've closed 700 deals, because maybe you're a snake and closed 700 deals with 700 people in lawsuits. You don't know, right? But you understand my point. So who you are and who you are is both what you've done and who you are. So I believe with that gesture, shaking the hand, being deliberate, looking in the eyes, making the declarations, all that training, is hugely important. And with you, I think you're a very sincere young lady. People are going to see that sincerity. Don't ever try and pretend to be something that you're not. And when you hand over that team piece and say, look, I am part of a team, because as we both know, I'm, how old are you? Whatever, 29 or something. I'm 29. So obviously I haven't done this for 20 years. You get my point? Obviously, look, I'm 29. I haven't done this for 20 years because you're not allowed to get a real estate license when you're 9. But I will tell you, I will sincerely help you all the way over the finish line. But I would use you every day of the week.
And you also use the buyer pack too, Felicia. Use the flyers, print out the information from the neighborhood and the community to show that you have knowledge to give them behind the sincere person that you are as well.
It's all very good. It's just all that supporting documentation. Will it work every time? No, it will work a lot. Well, who is that, please?
It's Pat. I was just going to say, if you have the time, right, show up prepared. Don't just show up with a flyer from the house. Like Lawrence said, show up prepared. Show them that you care as much about what they're doing as you care as much as they do, and that'll go a long way.
100% true. 100% true. Yeah.
Can
So
I
it's a
say
good.
something?
Who's that?
Angela.
Hi, Angela.
Also, just kind of adding that to the team thing. I've had several instances where the client tells me, when I'm trying to fan bam, and they said, well, when are you available? And I let them know, you tell me if for some reason I cannot be there. I'm part of an amazing team. One of us will, but I will make sure that you're a priority. And they love that. But I feel like just saying that you're part of a team, and if I'm not there, you've got all bases covered, and they feel
Totally
like,
true.
oh, okay.
So it's a big tool that we do not use enough. And it's funny enough is a lot of the people with the most self-confidence don't use it because they don't feel they need to, but actually they need it more than everybody else, right? Because when you're not totally self-confident, you're more sincere. And people buy from sincere people. They really do. Yeah. So Angela's right. So use a supporting pat, be prepared, and be sincere. And I just gave you a really simple tool. You can tell by looking at me, I haven't done this for 30 years. Now you look at my boss, you think he's done it for 50 years, but that's the whole point. Boom. You just had a nice little joke in there. And you're basically saying, we both know how old I am. So you want somebody who's done it 30 years, my boss will talk to you at any time. It's that whole credibility piece. You're not going to lie to them. You can tell them the truth, sincerity, right? Yeah, be sincere. Any other questions? Diane has a question in the room.
When you say know your numbers, can you explain what that means?
So Diane said, know your numbers. And I actually, Lauren, are you still with us?
Yes.
So I should have done this. And bottom line, this is very quick. If you're going to do 24, number one is you must have 5 tops and 5 backups at all times. To have 5 and 5, that's 10. You need a minimum of 30 in your 30, 60, 90. So 10 30s, 10 60s, 10 90s. If you've got 10, 10, and 10, and 5 and 5, you're going to sell 24 homes a year. And if you don't, I need to change your antiperspirant. You get the image, right? It's very, very, and those numbers, I didn't just come up with that. That's how I've literally provided for 2 families for 40 years. Everything I do, even the flips, Diane, I did the same thing. I obsessed about how much money did I have to spend to make how much money in profit. If I did, how long did it take and how many people did it take? And how long did it take me to find them? So if I did 3 times more finding time, I'd have 3 times more purchasing time, 3 times more development time, therefore 3 times more net. And I had it all worked out exactly what the numbers until the market stopped. So whatever I do the same thing and break it down into the numbers. You have 5 and 5, and 10 in each column. You're going to do 24 a year. Any other questions? All right, guys. Well, the ISAs are going to go back to work. You're going to hear a lot of pretty important stuff tomorrow. Thank you. We're going to shut off the Zoom at 9:40 because we start at 9:30, right? And I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. Patrick, I just super happy that you came on this. Lauren, honey, thank you for your support. I didn't click on to see who else was on this, so please don't be butthurt if I don't mention your name, but I appreciate everybody being on. Thank you for the respect, and I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.